want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
We are the Mad Men of Masculinity.
Your home for healthy masculinity. We're just real men having real conversations for you. Hey, it's the Mad Men, y'all.
Somebody better act like they know.
Better act like you know. You know what time it is.
You know what I'm doing? You know what I'm doing right now?
What are you doing? You're not looking at me. Make me
No.
look eye. Look eye.
No. I can't look eye right now. I'm on my phone, man. You know why I'm on my phone?
Are you sharing? Sharing is caring.
Sharing is caring. That's why I'm on my phone right now. I'm hitting the share button. If
man.
you care, you would hit share. You know what I'm saying? For real.
We would like you to share.
We would. Hey, I am Kirk M. Samuels.
And this guy right here is Jason B. Kendrick.
Boom. And together, we are Ebony and together, we are the Mad Men of Masculinity, baby.
That's right. We're just real men having real conversations for you.
Ebony and Ivory live together in perfect masculinity, side by side on your Facebook, YouTube, on the internet, everywhere. MadmenRadio.com. Oh man, I sound just like Stevie Wonder.
I know you do.
I'm Stevie, you Paul. I did, okay. Man.
I guess I can be a Beatle.
I should have been the singer. You know why? Because my voice is reliable. You know what I'm saying?
It is reliable. I think you do have a reliable voice. I think it does carry.
Yeah. So if you don't know, now you know. So we, Mad Men of Masculinity, 12:20 a.m. on the radio side, on the over the airs in Denver, Colorado, on the digiwebs everywhere. We record our weekly show, which airs Wednesday at 8 a.m. and Wednesdays at 6 p.m. and Saturdays at 8 a.m.
That's correct.
And so we always have basically the long version of these conversations, or whatever the topic is, and then we come back on Tuesday. And we stream and we record the shorter version. So now today you get kind of the quick hit version of it.
The condensed, the more potent, the more powerful,
more pungent.
Well, yeah. We just got off work, so it might be a little pungent.
Yeah, definitely. There's some pungentness going on around here.
And if you go to the Mad Men Radio page on Facebook.com, you can comment live. We can make you famous. You can be part of the show. We have had lots of friends and supporters become famous on the show. We'd like to make you one of them as well.
No doubt. So, let us know what you think. And this is going to be one of those topics. So some of the topics we have are candy. Some of them are medicine. Some of the topics we have are kind of just male-centric, male-directed. Some of it is speaking from the male perspective to the male perspective. This is one of those topics where, man, it's kind of universal. It's kind of some universal appeal right here. And so, if you're human, if you're breathing, then you probably should have some kind of stake or some kind of input in this whole thing. So I would love to see some comments from some folks.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we will definitely be on a more male-centric path on this one because we're talking to the guys, but we did get a lot of comments from the ladies about, well, yeah, I want a reliable man. What is a reliable man? How can I find a reliable man? Well, we're going to dump right into that, and the answer may not be what you think.
Yeah, and so if you haven't picked up on it, the whole idea is reliability. We're talking about being reliable men, and just reliability in general, being reliable men, man. And I think it's structure, man. I think it's one of those things. There's several words that go into it. You had the definition yesterday, and one of those words is consistency. Being consistent, being almost predictable in a good way, being able to be count on, faithful, all those kind of good things, man.
Yeah, the second or the last part of that definition was a trustworthy person or a person who is trustworthy. And how do you become trustworthy? Well, you have a set of values that you follow. You keep your word, number one. You don't overpromise. If you make a promise, you keep that promise. You do not overpromise, so you know what you're capable of, and you don't say, "Oh yeah, I can do all that," and when you can't. And and you show up. So you show up to whatever it is, and people can trust on you for whatever it is you say you're going to do. And one of the biggest things that we really got into, and we're going to dig into it even more tonight, is that part of being a reliable person is the ability to say no. And
Right.
so you're not just a yes man. You're not just
Mhm.
somebody who's like, oh yeah, I'll do whatever, and then you don't show up. You're a
Yeah.
person who can hold your own boundaries and knows your value, and you can say, no, I can't do that. And
Right.
to be perfectly honest, I think the ability to say no makes you more trustworthy and more reliable
Yeah.
to people in your life.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and I think, especially as men, we need to be consistent in our culture. We need to be
Hmm.
reliable. We need to be the person that other people can count on, man. And we need to kind of be the person that, yeah, my yes is yes, my no is no. But if I say yes, then it is. And if I say no, then it ain't. But for
Yeah.
sure, if I say I'm going to be somewhere, I'm going to be somewhere. And if I say I'm going to do something, if I don't do it, put out the APB, call somebody, call the Coast Guard because I might be missing that C.
Right. Well, and that's the thing is when you offer too much of yourself and too much of your time and energy when you know you can't do it, then each time that you say yes but don't show up, then that just erodes people's confidence in you, and invariably erodes the confidence in yourself because you know that you can't do that, and so instead of just saying no, I cannot do that, or I can't do that right now, or I'm not available, you
Mhm,
are actually basically telling a lie. You know it's a lie, you know you
mhm.
lying. You know you can't do that. So
Yeah,
stop lying to other people. Stop lying to yourself,
yeah,
and just be honest and just say, "Hey,
yeah,
I can't do that right now." And
right.
you'll be very surprised to find out that people will be very happy when you tell them no, because now they can move on to find somebody else who can, instead of you going,
Yeah,
"Well, maybe I could try. Let me see. Let me check my schedule. Let me try.
yeah,
I'm really busy and all, but
yeah,
maybe." Don't do
yeah.
that.
So being a man of your word, being a
Mhm.
man of your word, whatever that word is, and sometimes people may not like that word. I mean, I don't know that we should necessarily live our life trying to offend people, but sometimes our truth could be offensive to some people, and whatever that looks like, man, it just kind of is what it is sometimes.
Yeah, and I mean, and one of the big things, especially because we do have so many of our viewers being ladies looking for a high value man, looking for a good man, gentlemen, being able to tell your women no when she's either testing you or when she's asking you something is actually the way to
Mhm.
having her trust you more and feel more safe and secure in the relationship with you, because
Yeah.
she can trust that if you can tell her no, then when you go out in the world and some other girl is trying to get your attention, she knows that, well, if you can tell her no in the relationship and you live with her, she can trust
Mhm.
that you can tell this other lady no, and now
Yeah.
she feels more confident and comfortable and allowing you to be out in the world and have a life with the
Yeah.
boys and actually have your own experiences.
Yeah, to that point, it's a matter of boundaries. It's a
Hmm.
matter of not only, if you go back to the whole picture in a picture frame kind of thing, not only in relationship do we provide the frame for the picture, to the feminine, but then at the same time, it's effectively a boundary. And if you are
Hmm.
able to have boundaries, whatever your boundaries are, if they're clear, these are my boundaries, and if you're able to stick to those boundaries, then absolutely you're just more trustworthy all the way around, and especially to the women in our lives, man. I mean, I think femininity can tend to be chaotic sometimes,
Hmm.
in terms of, at least the way I think, just in reality, but definitely the way we see it. Men tend to kind of be more straightforward, more
Yep.
predictable, if you want to call it that, generally speaking. Obviously there's exceptions. But from the feminine, the chaos of just, the ups and downs, man, the ins and outs,
Mhm.
the emotions, the hormones, the ebb and flow of it all. She's the ocean, right? And
Mhm.
the ocean can be glassy, calm one day, and the ocean can be a raging sea the next day.
Yep.
And that just is what it is. But if we're the boat that's able to steer and navigate those waters regardless of that, then we provide that consistency that they're looking for. But
Mhm.
part of that comes down to us being reliable in the roles that we have for her in her life.
Yeah, and part of that, having your own set of values and having your own purpose as a man helps you to weather those storms of the
Yeah.
feminine, person in your life, because when they have that chaos, you can stand strong and be the boundaries. You can be the flagpole with the flag in the wind. You can be the riverbanks to the river. You can create that structure, and she can trust that you are reliable and trustworthy because you're not going to bend and you're not going to run away every time there's some chaos. You're not going to
Mhm.
run away just because there's some wind blowing and the flags waving and there's a little bit of chaos. You can stand strong
Yeah.
and be able to weather that storm, because I see all the time, and I know it may not be the most popular anymore, but I do see a lot of ladies saying, I want a man who can, you know, tell me to be quiet and to tell me no and to put me in my place. And we see a lot of ladies who may not agree with that, but I what I'm finding is a lot of times it's the ladies who have tried the yes men and don't rely on them and don't trust them and don't feel confident and safe with them, and so they do want a man who can hold the boundaries and be like, no, or that's too far, or this is as far as we're going,
Mhm.
or I'm
Yep.
allow you to be a little chaotic and emotional, and then I'm still going to be here when that's over and we're going to talk about it.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, Nikki said it, and yeah, I mean, to me, in my mind, it goes without saying, but I guess it is worth saying that, yeah, we're not talking about somebody being controlling or
Mm-mm.
domineering or abusive or anything like that. At the same time, it is completely detrimental to a woman to have a yes man in her life that won't provide boundaries, that won't provide some level of feedback, some level of accountability. I mean, especially once you've established that level of trust, that level of reliability, that consistency, like, look, I have proven myself over, some period of time. Like, I am here and my motive, like, where I'm coming from and all those kinds of things. Once you've established that, then absolutely do I think a man has, should be, out of love, be able to hold, his woman somewhat accountable for,
Mhm.
for behavior and provide that structure out of love. Like I said, not out of control or dominance or abuse, but I'm talking about out of love. And it's like, nah, babe, you tripping right now. Like,
Mhm.
you kind of you going overboard with the emotion. You catastrophizing. You whatever. I mean, to be able to provide some calmness, because like I said, then when they get spun up with emotion, where we should be able to kind of back and say, no, I got you right here.
Mhm.
Let's recenter this thing, and that comes from
Yeah.
consistency and reliability over time.
Yeah, I mean, and consistency and reliability doesn't come from the big acts. We always see these
Mhm.
romantic comedies where these guys, they rent out the stadium or they do some big grand action and to win some girl's love. But that's not what generates trust and reliability in anybody.
Mm-mm.
It's the small little things day to day that you do. I mean, it's kind of like Brene Brown talks about in a lot of books. It's the marble jar. Like each
Mhm.
little thing that you do, each little promise that you keep, each little thing that you share with them, and each little thing that you do daily, you add a marble to that jar. When that jar is full, then that's when somebody trusts you and they can rely on you. And so we a lot of times as guys we get stuck in this mindset. I don't know if it's a nice guy thing or what, but we're like, I'm gonna make this grand gesture. I've got to do this big old thing. And yeah, that may be nice and may be romantic, but that's not what engenders trust. That's not what engenders reliability and for her to feel safe and secure in you as a man, as her partner.
Mhm.
And I'm going to say your favorite phrase, but ladies, it goes both ways. You cannot be overly controlling, and we as men want our women to be our support and our peace. But if that support starts becoming controlling, just like if a man is overly controlling to you, it's the
Yep.
same thing, because that usually that control comes from fear. So you are afraid that if you aren't trying to control this person, then you don't trust him to be genuine and reliable and trustworthy.
Right.
So you think you
Yeah.
have to control them. So remember, if you want your man to be reliable, you have to give him space to be reliable, and vice versa,
Exactly.
guys. Don't be overly controlling when if your woman is being a little chaotic.
Yeah, well, when you say that controlling comes from a place of fear, and the to me the antidote in a healthy situation is the reliability. Is
Mm,
what do you? I mean, when you're reliable, you're safe. When you're reliable, you are safer. And so, in my mind, she should have less reason or cause to be controlling, especially out of fear. If she's in a good place and if she's I mean, if it's a healthy relationship and she's somewhat of a healthy human being, even in her feminine. I mean,
mhm,
again, once he's spruce, and it's not the big, it's not the big kabooms. It's like hitting an oak tree with your fist in the same spot over and over and over again, until that thing comes down. And it's just like, yeah, they wake up, you're there. And a lot of women have experienced some level of abandonment in their life.
mhm.
A lot of women have experienced some level of abandonment through abuse, through many different ways, flat out abandonment. Um, and so some of that comes in the not enough message that they get, culturally speaking. And so for us to consistently be there and consistently be reliable, and to remind them, not remind them verbally, but then more so remind them just presently, that I'm here, I'm gonna be here, and I love you, you're beautiful, all those kinds of things, man. You can love her in a way that she loves herself different.
Yeah. And I mean, to even go to that point of abandonment, so many men have just been trained that and have been taught that we're going to be abandoned or that we are
Mhm,
abandoned. You
mhm.
can't be a masculine man because you're bad or this or that. And so for us to be a reliable, trustworthy man, that starts with the internal awareness. Like we need to learn to stop abandoning ourselves, stop self-sabotaging and have some
Mhm.
self-worth. And when you have the self-worth and know your purpose and your being and your bearing and your boundaries, then you can provide that safety and security and that structure for a family, for a partner, for your children. But it starts with us. And I know for when you talk about ladies being abandoned, absolutely. But I think there's a lot of guys who have felt abandoned from jump because of how the culture teaches us. Oh, don't be a man, masculinity is toxic and don't cry and don't feel your emotions, and all these different things that goes against our natural nature. So as men, find other men, find a group so that you can creates that stability within yourself, within that group of men, so that you can provide the stability within the world and your family and your relationships.
Yeah, great segue. So let's reset since we're halfway
Reset.
through Mad Men of Masculinity. You know what I'm saying? We rock on KLDC 1220 AM
Mhm.
in Mile High City on the Saturday mornings at 8 a.m., Wednesdays at 6 p.m. You can listen to us, the full hour production. Our super producer, Nikki Nicole, puts it together during the week. She wasn't Skittles this week. She was like we never found out what the yellow flavor of Starburst is.
I didn't. I
I
still
don't
think
know.
it's lemon, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Her hair wasn't Skittles; it was lemon or whatever the yellow flavor was with Starburst. But anyhow, and so today we just talking about reliability, man, and we talking
Mhm.
about being a reliable man. And I think so that's a great segue from your perspective to pivot to okay, what's reliability look like for to other men in our lives? We talked about relationships and women and family, but then what about your boys?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think for most of us guys, we don't really. Oh, Nikki said it's lemon.
It's
She
lemon. Did
looked
you
it
look
up.
that up? Or did you make that up?
She probably
Because
looked it up. I don't know.
I won't call you
Oh, it
lemon
is.
head.
It is lemon. I just looked it up too.
All
So
right, cool.
anyway, talking about us men with our men, one of the ways to develop trustworthiness and reliability is to be around other men because your boys are going to call you out. True friendship, especially when it comes to men, they're going to talk smack to your face, but be honest and defend you behind your back. And
Mhm.
so when it comes to men, being around men and showing up, and that's number one, you got to show up. Number two, you got to be honest because they'll call your BS and see right through it. Number three, you got to be all that you are. You if you're emotional, be emotional. If you're shy, be shy. You just be yourself around other men and don't try to be something you're not. And that will help you to build your own self-confidence as a man and know that it's okay however you are, whether you're introverted, extroverted, whether you're shy, whether you're smart, whether you're, you know, an artist or a musician or an engineer or whatever those things are. You will build more self-confidence because you will see that other men will accept you for whatever it is you are. We tend to as men not accept ourselves because we are shown basically from jump as a child that your value as a man comes from what you provide. And so we tend to think, well, I'm not providing millions of dollars, or I'm not providing this big mansion, so I must be less than. And when you get around your boys, you realize that, well, they're not either, but they're not less than. I see them for the
Right.
100% men that they are, and that helps me see myself and look in the mirror and go, you know what, I'm good enough too, just like I am.
Yeah. And I think, for men, for for your boys, your guys, it's about showing up. We're really for life, it's about showing up, nine times out
Yep.
of 10. Um, and I think with other guys, man, just showing up is huge. Just physically, literally being there. Brotherhood is developed shoulder to shoulder. Brotherhood is, I mean, I think, relationship styles, masculine and feminine, is quite often face to face. But I think brotherhood is developed shoulder to shoulder. So when I show up, when I'm physically there, whether it's some activity or whether helping somebody out or whatever, when a brother needs to move, don't even make him ask. If you know one of your boys is moving, I mean, don't even wait for
Show
the
up.
ask. Just like
Yeah.
what time I need to be there. Oh, you move it?
Mhm.
Okay, well, boom, what time I need to be there, and then be there. And so those activities, and then it's stuff like that, helping each other out, but then also doing stuff together. I mean, a lot of this birth from us playing golf. I mean,
Yeah.
and just having these conversations. It's like, man, I mean, those kind of things develop friendship and develop brotherhood. So man to man, a lot of that reliability just comes from literally physically being there and showing up.
Yeah, I think it was Woody Allen. I think somebody else said it too, but 80% of success is just showing up. Because how
Mhm.
can you be available for opportunities if you're not there? How can you
Right.
take advantage of some new opportunity or even add your ideas or your wisdom or your skills and your strengths if you're not present. And I know after the lockdown, we had all this Zoom calls, everybody was showing up online. But honestly, today, I mean, now we're free to get back out there, show up. If
Yeah.
you're lonely, find a singles group or a men's group and go do something. Show up, just get out and do something, because the more you show up, the more you will find those things that will help you become that more reliable, trustworthy man that I know you want to be. I know I want to be. I mean, that's why we do this. We show up for you guys twice a week, almost every week, unless there's a holiday, so that we can impart what we've learned through all of our mistakes and stuff, so to you, to hopefully build that connection between us, and also because we need to hear it pretty much probably more than you do.
Right. And so it's that level of consistency, man. It's like, it's like doing this. I mean, doing this or doing other things. I mean, it's about the consistency, developing that over time, growing into a level of reliability. Consistency is like your part of doing the action. Reliability is how somebody sees you, right? I mean, somebody sees you as reliable. You can be consistent, but then that consistency, develops the trust. It develops, I mean, all of those kinds of things. And then eventually they see you as, as reliable. I once heard somebody say, if you have trust issues, then you are probably not a trustworthy person.
Yep.
And so, to be that person that shows up when you say you're going to show up, keeping your word, even if it's no, that's the kind of person that, that is even consistent just in who they are. I mean, and then let people see you as, however they see you based on that, but at least you'll be reliable in that kind of way.
Yeah, and being a reliable man who comes from integrity pays dividends. I had an experience once where somebody had told a story about me, and then it turns in some other guy was making some post or whatever that was on some group and some page that I didn't know anything about. But then a friend of mine who knew they knew me said, well, what about this? You know this guy? And they're like, no, that doesn't sound like him at all. And just because I was being a good, integrous man, being as reliable as I can be and as trustworthy as I can be, when somebody got the wrong impression or told a story about me, other people had my back. And I didn't even know about it till it was like days later. And I'm like, and then I confronted the guy, like, what's this? What's this all about? And he's like, oh, well, this is what I heard. And I was like, well, you're wrong. And so being trustworthy, being reliable, being an honest, integrous man pays dividends. And so if you're having a hard time connecting with people, and you're having, like Kirk said, if you have a hard time trusting people, it's probably because you have a hard time trusting yourself. You don't feel like you have the trustworthiness and the integrity to do what you say you're going to do and show up when you say you're going to show up. And the only thing that really I've ever found that really works is just honesty. If you can't do it, say no. If you can't do it, say yes. If you can do it, but there's conditions or a time frame, speak that and say that. Like, I can do it, but not till next week, or I can do it, but only this much. And people will be able to come to rely on you because what you say is your word is your bond, and they can trust that what you say is true.
I've had a similar situation where, there was some things kind of put in the ether about me. And when, I've had, one of my guys kind of, call me and say, hey man, I need to talk, hey man, I heard this. And, it doesn't sound anything like you. And I'm just like, that's what I'm talking about. I mean, having somebody literally, have your back based on what they know about you. Like I know this person. Like, I mean, it's, I almost want to say you can never say never in terms of what somebody might do, but some things are not likely. Like with that person, if somebody came to me and told me some off the wall thing about you, I mean, I'd be like, I'm gonna go ahead and doubt it until I know or proven otherwise, kind of thing. Right. And so being able to be there and being able to be consistent over time, it is what it is. And then you let the narrative play out, and I'll tell you from a fatherhood perspective, man to man, it can be a lonely place, man. Cause from a fatherhood perspective, you can do a whole lot of things that nobody sees. That doesn't get all the credit, that doesn't get the food, especially with younger kids, because, moms are everything. Moms get kids through childhood, fathers get kids through adulthood. And so, and so a lot of times stuff that fathers do, good fathers anyway, it goes unnoticed. I mean, it's like a pillar of a building. Literally, you walk by a pillar in the lobby of a skyscraper, not even thinking like that thing is holding up this entire building. But you never see a pillar get decorated. You never see a picture or a painting on a pillar. It's normally just painted gray or white or whatever it is. And, you know, they might put some plants around it so you don't run into it. But you never give credit to the, you know, to the thing that's holding up everything. So it can be a lonely kind of thing. But at the same time, you know, the narrative is what it is when you are reliable and when you are consistent. You just let the rest play out.
Yeah, I mean, I think to your story and your point, I think a lot of times being a father, even being a man, is a lot like farming. You know, you plant those seeds, you water them, and you need those other guys around you to go, no, be patient. It will flower. That will come back. I mean, I know I've seen it come around for a lot of my friends with their kids. You know, when they were teenagers, they hated them, and then they leave the house, and once they get depending on their 20s or 30s, at some point they get that phone call. You know, I'm sorry I was so rude. You were right. And thank you for so much for everything you did because I didn't understand and all that. So, I mean, yeah, being a man and being a trustworthy, reliable man can feel like a thankless job. But as long as you got your other boys around you who can relate and tell you, just wait, have some patience. That flower will bloom. They will see your value later on. And you just hold fast and be steady and be a reliable, trustworthy man in integrity. It's all going to work out.
You know, I like to say that a good man is not fully appreciated until he's gone.
Yeah.
I mean, until he's gone, do we really realize, like, man, you know, what we really had? Like, that guy was holding up some stuff that we didn't even know, that we didn't even realize. And so a lot of times it's not till he's gone, whether we want to admit it or not. You know, I mean, I know a lot of women that have lost a good man and she won't admit it, but, you know, like, man, you know, he's gone and now I'm back here out on the streets. She's made for the streets. I mean,
she belongs in the streets.
She belongs in the streets. And so, you know, a good man is absolutely a lot of times not really truly appreciated fully until he's gone. And then other men can look at that. Like, you know, you look at these NBA guys, man, and they can just, you know, Steph Curry can just go. I mean, he'll throw up the ball and turn around and walk away and be like, it went in, didn't it? You know, there's a highlight of him doing that because he's done that 10,000 times a day, you know, for 10, 15, 20 years. He's so reliable because he's done it. And so, you know, it's not until you play golf that you can watch golf on TV and appreciate it because it is so freaking hard. And these guys just step up there and
make it look so easy.
I saw like Phil Mickelson, I mean, from 135 yards out in a sand bunker, sink it. He drained it. I'm like, how do you do it? Like, I can't even get it out of the bunker. I mean, I'm putting up a snowman just getting it out of the bunker, man, you know, but it's not until you play a game of golf, for example, and realize how difficult it is that you can actually watch those guys and fully appreciate it. And so when other guys see you doing your grind, they're like, wow, okay, I can fully appreciate that thing, man.
Yeah, because they're in it with you, and we talk so much about it as the Mad Men Masculinity, as your home for healthy masculinity here on Facebook, on YouTube, on KLDC. Get a group of guys around you. If you were, I mean, I'm the king of the isolationist. I've been that way my whole life. I've always kind of felt on my own. I was the only child until I was 10. All these different things, and so I just got used to being on my own. So I didn't really attach myself to groups. But being an older man now, especially because after high school, after the military, you're not just naturally in a group of guys. But now it's like I have to search out and find quality men, and when I do, it makes my life so much better because these guys get it. And when you're by yourself, when you're on your island, as it were, there's nobody there to reflect off of or to resonate with you, to be like, yeah, no, I get it. I'm there too. And so, guys, find yourself a good group of guys. Find yourself a group of men that are working to be better. And you can become that better, more reliable, trustworthy man because you have those guys backing you up. You know, iron sharpens iron, men build men.
Yeah. And I would say, bringing my plane in for landing anyway, I would say, you know, for sure. I mean, man, we is greater than me in terms of manhood. And so, you know, I mean, we can go fast or we can go far together. And these are the kind of things that we develop out of consistency of relationship, out of consistency of showing up. And in terms of, you know, the women in our lives, you know, when we say what we're going to say, if you're not interested, tell her you're not interested. You know, if you know, don't go out on a date or stand somebody up or ghost anybody. Obviously, we hate when women do that too because they do it a lot. but but be consistent with our word. And and after the date, if it's not a good fit, say it's not a good fit. There's no need to string anybody along, and just be a man of your word, no matter what, whether your word is yes.
Yeah, and I had this conversation this weekend with a lady friend of mine, but it goes both ways. Your favorite phrase? Be honest. Like, don't we spend so much time trying to be nice and save people's feelings, and we're making it so much worse. We make it 10 times worse by stringing people along. Just you could be nice about it. Like, look, I think you're cool, but I'm not interested. Or we had a good time, but I just don't feel the connection. Just be honest. You'll save yourself. It might hurt initially, but you're gonna save yourself so much time. Rip that band-aid off. Be an honest, integral man. Be reliable and be trustworthy, and come back and see us next week. Men of Masculinity out.